Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jake Veterano here on Diva Dirt, and I am joined today by the gorgeous Taylor Hendrix. What's going on, Taylor?
Aw, thank you so much. I'm gorgeous. Look at that.
Gorgeous!
I'm awesome. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. So excited you're here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so we have got a ton of questions for you. You've been a hot topic in wrestling, especially for the last year. So, there's a lot of questions we got to ask. So I'm gonna get right into it. A lot of fans first got acquainted with you when you appeared in TNA's Gut Check Challenge. How exactly did that all come about?
I've talked about this before. It was really anticlimactic. It was, I was at OVW and, I was starting to feel like I looked pretty and feeling like I was really coming into my own. And I had just found out that same day that I was going to be shooting for my first time being on an OVW Saturday Night Special poster.
Hmm.
So I was really excited and I just got, a brand new bikini. And then all of a sudden, I'm walking down the hallway in my bikini, and Alpha goes, Taylor, gut check. See me after the show. I was
I
like,
guess that bikini was a
oh,
good purchase.
oh, thanks. Yeah, so here I am in a bikini about to go, shoot for a poster for the June 2012 SNS, in like 6 days is my birthday, and, I'm all happy-go-lucky, yay, I'm going to be 23 years old, look at me, and, Taylor, gut check. See me after the show, and I'm like,
Oh my
oh my
God.
gosh, and then it was like one of those moments, and then you go, oh no.
That's gotta be like so
So
surreal. Like, you're going to do this huge poster, which is a big enough deal in itself, and then like, your life's completely changing in like a minute with that news. Like, that is
it was really awesome. It was really surreal. That was like a really good month for me because, I was still the OVW Women's Champion at the time, and I was finally starting to come into my own character that I'm still doing now. And,
hmm
I was on my first poster, which still to this day is probably my number one selling poster. And then it also happened to be the same month that I appeared on national and international television. So it was a huge month in my
amazing.
career and my life.
That's great. It sounds like a great birthday month. So pretty awesome. And like you eventually won the Gut Check Challenge. Really awesome. A lot of fans were rallying behind you. So what was it like, like you said, you were just turning 23 years old. Like how crazy was it to work with veterans like Tara and Mickey James? Like, did they take the lead with planning those matchups you guys did, or did they like let you give your input about what you wanted to do? What was that process like?
Actually, surprisingly enough, after training, with Dan Freitas back home in Bob Evans, they always kind of told me, and Rick Rogers always told me, smile, listen, keep your ears open, your eyes open, and your mouth shut.
Right.
So that's kind of how I've gone about my career, keep my eyes and ears open and my mouth shut. Don't say anything bad, and don't be a flaming moron. So um, I went in there expecting to, just, told what to do and go ahead and do it to the best of your abilities, and what happens is meant to be. And if nothing happens, just keep
Right.
going forward and keep an open mind. And it was really cool because Kira and Nikki were both very, very open and asked me for, my input and asked me, hey, what do you think about this? Or hey, what do you think about that? And then being seasoned veterans in the business, and there's very few of them, that was very unexpected. And I felt like that was a sign of respect. And even if it wasn't, I still want to think of it as such because that was a really cool thing. And, I tried not to have diarrhea of the mouth or anything like that, or just bury myself. But I thought overall it was, a very good experience. And working with them both is something that'll last me a lifetime because there's not many
Totally.
women in this business anymore with that type of experience. So it was definitely very interesting and very surprising that I had a small say. I was expecting none and I got a little bit, which was really cool. And I would have been completely okay with having none.
Well, that's great. And it really helped. Those matches I think were some of the best knockout matches we saw that year, and they were wonderful. Commend you for the great job in them.
Oh, shut up. Shut
That's
your face right
for
now. You are
reals.
throwing stuff
I loved it. But anyway, so obviously you have a great personality. You're super bubbly, but you played this great heel in OVW, which like I'm sure you get all the time. But what was it like, kind of taking that heel role, kind of having to throw it away, and then go on TNA as this huge baby face? Like, what was that like since you're used to playing this great heel?
Um, I'm not going to lie on a podcast because that would be in poor taste and bad manners. I was extremely frightened. I was frightened.
Oh,
I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to cry my eyes out because I was very uncomfortable.
right.
I've never been comfortable as a good person in wrestling because I felt like it was too much like who I am
Mm-hmm.
in day-to-day life, and that to me was very uncomfortable. I didn't want to be that sort of role, but I'm not going to argue. And I've always felt that as a performer, I've done a better job on the opposite end
Mm-hmm.
for trying not to blur the lines too much. But I guess as a heel, you could say. I've always felt like I've excelled more in those types of roles and possibilities. But when I started wrestling, I was heel. When I first started wrestling, and then I was immediately put as a babyface, and I was the One Girl Revolution, Taeler Hendrix, and I had this modern pop culture underdog hippie, girl power
Right.
sort of gimmick to me and vibe about me. I was very smiley, happy, never give up, sort of Goonies never say die character, and dressing in all these neon colors, which looked terrible, and so I really didn't want to revert back to that, with it being my first time, in Impact Wrestling, and unfortunately that's what I was, and I didn't have the best gear, and I definitely didn't look like the rest of the knockouts, and my hair and makeup were terrible. Well, I don't know.
Oh,
I
you
liked it,
looked
but I didn't
great.
like it
Oh my
sometimes.
God.
It's one of those things where you're your own worst critic.
Right.
But
Definitely. Yeah. No, you looked great.
being
Please.
well, being I had just turned 23. I was the youngest knockout on I'm actually the youngest knockout ever, I think, because yeah, I
Yeah,
am. There's a
I
blessing
just
that
thought, I
goes
think
to
you
me,
are. Yeah.
Lady Tapla. Yeah. So, I mean, I just turned 24 a couple months ago, and, so it's really scary for me. I'm with all these people who've been wrestling a while, or have been in Maxim, or, been in
Hmm.
WWE, and things like that. So it was definitely intimidating, and I'm coming in with, like, terrible looking gear and just wanting to make an impression, being hungry and striving for something, and then I have to be a role that I had ideas for to take it further, and you kind of saw that as each time I progressed on Impact, as each time I came back, I was
Right.
slightly a little bit different each time, but it wasn't so enormously different.
Right.
And I tried to just take what I was given and kind of mold it into my own thing, my own entity, my own character. That's why, I came up with the idea of, being the Boston Strong bombshell from Boston,
Hmm.
Massachusetts, because, it's something that's relatable, and it's something that I can feel like people can feel, and almost as if it was tangible, and it's something that still exists in Boston. It's, if you're from South Boston, you're a Southie and you're most likely Irish, so I wanted to bring something different to the table instead of just being just another girl with short shorts. And hopefully at the end of the day, I hope people will feel like I did a good job at least in doing that.
I think you definitely stood out from the rest of the knockouts. Like, you didn't look the same as all of them, but in a good way. Like you had your own unique look, gorgeous, but like, you were feisty. Like you had this own thing about you that made people want to learn more about you. And I remember there was a video TNA had posted with Christy doing kind of like a get to know Taylor Hendricks sort of thing. And I thought that was really cool because, like you got to see more of the personality of you. And like WWE doesn't often do that with their women, so it was nice to see TNA taking the interest to get your name out there more. So it was nice. Another thing TNA had done was the Knockouts Knockdown pay-per-view, which you were a part of, and we had heard rumors that they were reaching out to a lot of girls for the show who had turned them down. What was the atmosphere like backstage at that show? Was there any negativity stemming from people like who weren't there or anything like that?
Heck no. I mean, Amber O'Neil was out there in the crowd cheering us on. I mean, there was definitely no negativity there at all. And I mean, especially for me, I was in a match with a girl that I had wrestled bajillion times at OVW, and one of my veterans who was pretty much my mama bear at OVW, Sojo Bolt. So
Mm-hmm.
I was very comfortable. I mean, other things happened backstage that for myself, that I won't really talk about because they kind of hurt my feelings. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, there was no negative vibes at all, and there was a lot of talent on that pay-per-view, and a
Oh,
lot of girls with
absolutely.
a lot of experience. I mean, you had, let me see, you had Santana Garrett coming back in, you had Mia Yim on that pay-per-view, you had Taryn Terrell making her wrestling debut for TNA,
Mm-hmm.
you had Bill Kim, you had cheerleader Melissa on that show, Mickey James, Serena Deeb, Tara. I mean, that's a lot of women who can wrestle a broomstick
Oh,
and make it look
yeah.
good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was just happy to be a part of it. I just wish I would have known that even though it was on St. Patrick's Day, it wasn't airing on St. Patrick's Day, because I'm like, yeah, and everybody was kind of just looking at me, and I'm like, oh, apparently I am the only one. Yay, Impact Zone! But no, they embraced me with open arms, and it was really great. I think that was the biggest reaction I ever had from the Impact Zone.
Oh, that's
But at the
great.
same time, it kind of was bittersweet because I was coming out as a heel and nobody knew why. I didn't even know why. And
Right.
the Blossom twin, the Hannah Blossom, who was on the pay per view in my match, was the baby face of our match. And they're from Britain, so she was coming out in her British gear, which they are
Right.
known for, and
Right.
she was getting booed. So it was kind of like it was a very good learning experience for me to figure out how to on the spot make people hate me and love my opponent. So
Right.
that was a very interesting tool and task to learn and follow through with. So I mean, people either loved my match or they hated it, but at least they watched it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um, taking a little bit more of a serious turn, one of the reasons anyway that I was such a fan of you was you're very open about your battle with cancer. Both my parents have had cancer, so like, it's a near and dear subject to me. So I thought it was amazing because you don't really see a lot of wrestlers open up about that often if they have suffered from it, if they know someone suffering from it. Um, and let alone you being a woman taking on a disease like that was amazing because I don't think we've ever seen any female wrestler talk about something like that in public. How was it to have your fans and colleagues, like how did they react to this when you came out? Like, did you tell TNA you wanted to be upfront and open about the fact that you had had cancer in your video package? That kind of gave the audience a little bit more insight about you. Like, how did that all come about?
Absolutely not. I did not want to be that girl who got gut checked for, a sob story, which is what a lot of
Right.
people had said. I didn't want to be characterized as someone who, sympathy or pity. I don't want anybody's sympathy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want your empathy. I don't want your pity. I want you to love me or I want you to love to hate me. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what my job is as a performer. And my job
Exactly.
here is to make the company I work for money and to be successful and happy every day with myself and what I do. And that was not a decision I had made with my gut check video. And, I have no control how that's edited and
Right.
all of that. It was a very hard time in my life because when I first found out about me supposedly having cancer, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell my little sister. I didn't tell the boyfriend I had at the time. I told no one. Uh, I just didn't want my family to have to go through that, especially because my grandmother's sister, who I guess would be my great aunt or aunt, she died of breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandmother died of cancer. My grandfather died of cancer. My other grandmother died of cancer, and my mother was at risk for cancer. And so it was just something that I didn't want to make my little sister go through that because I'm 7 to 7.5 years older than my sister. So at 21, she's still at a very young and impressionable
Right.
age. And I didn't want them to have to go through that. I mean, my mother, you know, my mother wouldn't be here without me, and I didn't want to put her through that. I didn't. I just didn't have the heart to. But I finally, after a couple months, I broke down and cried my eyes out. I called my trainer and Bob Evans at the time, and I told him, and I told the girl who wrestled with Sammy Lane back home. With her and I used to be really good friends, and I told my boyfriend, and then I finally told my mom and my sister, and my boyfriend at the time convinced me to go get a second opinion. And that's when I found out that I was misdiagnosed. So from then on, I chose to view that as like a saving grace, as something positive,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to use that as a crutch to get me anywhere. I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
to use that as a motivator about life and to just, live my life knowing that, anything can happen and it can be as short or as long as you make it, but there's always a reason for it. And that's kind of the inspiration that I've lived with.
Right.
But now that the stuff's back and it's worse, it's kind of one of those things where will I make it? Will I have to have surgery? I don't know yet. I should already know, but I don't know. So it's just one of those things. I didn't choose to make it public, but I'd rather people, I guess, know than me try to hide it because at the end of the day, I don't want there to be secrets. And
Right. Exactly. And
secrets don't make
like
sense.
it's almost better to be it's almost better to be like open about something like that, especially in your profession, because if you disappear for a little bit, people would start all these rumors, like, oh, this is going on with Taylor, and it's just like, but your cancer is back, is what you're saying though right now, or there's a chance.
Yeah, it's come back. It's still precancerous, but it came back one level worse. So now it's moderate precancerous
Okay.
activity in the cells. So I'm kind of, I have to go back for testing and all this stuff where they have to cut things and test them and just to see what's going on, what's the rate of acceleration versus whether it's getting better. Did me gaining the weight like they asked me to help, or is
Mhm.
it something else entirely that was contributing to the fact that it came back and on the fact that it came back even worse? So, and whether or not I'll need to have stuff surgically removed. And I've never had surgery before, so that's something that
It's
scares me
yeah, oh
because I
yeah,
know
I'm
that
sure, yeah.
anything can happen. You're in God's hands if you believe in God. So,
Right. I think
but I'm a glass half full kind of girl, so I feel good about it. I'm hoping that the ridicule I've endured since June will all be worth it. And if it goes away, or if I have to have surgery, either way, I just know that it made me the person I am. So all the
mhm.
ridicule was, I'm trying to use that as a motivator and as a positive thing instead of letting it make me cry or make me be, oh, woe is me, poor my, let me talk shit about everybody.
Good for you though. Like it's amazing to have that outlook, and it really is inspiring to hear, like, cuz most people, like you said, like they'd be terrified. They wouldn't want to open up to people like if they had heard news like that there's a possibility they could have cancer or anything like that. And the fact that, like the fact that you're still going out there and wrestling is a motivation in itself for, like, I think, any person, like, like nothing should let you stop you from living your life. And that's amazing, Taylor. Like congratulations on like that great positivity. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, one of the criticisms we heard about from TNA was you said you felt like you were a joke in the past. And was it because of the reaction you were getting from fans? And like with your disease, like there's going to be subsequent weight gain. You've said in other interviews. Do you think wrestling will eventually give room for, like, the non lollipop type bodies that sticks with the big boobs? Like, do you think like there'll ever be a day where like everyone's just kind of accepted?
I mean, I don't remember when I said I felt like a joke. I don't remember when exactly I said that. But everybody is their own worst critic, and I
Right.
think in this business that either helps you or that really hurts you.
Mm.
And I've always felt like I was a joke. I feel like I'm just a walking, living punchline. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I always do. Yeah, I always seem to get a little bit farther than some people, but for
Mm.
some reason I always never quite get to where I want to be. And then I see other
Mm.
people coming up and I may have more experience than them, but I see them getting to the place that I want to be. So then you start wondering, well, what did they do versus what I'm doing? How did they look versus how I look? What is their moveset look like compared to mine? What are their connections versus mine? What have they done versus what I've done? And how long or little did it take them to get there? Are they doing it the right way or the wrong way? There's all these factors that come into play, and I've never been a wrestler that had the best gear. I've never been the wrestler who knew exactly what looked good on them and what worked for them as far as, moves or mic skills or what have you. I've always been a person that slowly found that out, like while doing it because I've been wrestling since I was 17. So essentially, I started as a child, and I've had to grow up in this business. And so,
Right.
you've seen all the awkward stages of Taylor Hendrix when she was Miss Taylor to Miss Taylor to Taylor Thomas to Taylor Cassidy to Taylor Hendrix to whatever else I become. And it's kind of just been the many faces of Taylor, the roller coaster of Taylor. Some good looks, some bad looks, some terrible, why do people let me do that? I think I finally got it down. I think I finally have my look, my genre, my character, my market that I appeal to. I think I finally have that down. It's just
You
taken me
definitely have it.
it's almost, wow, it's almost 7.5 years since I started wrestling. So, yeah, it's been 7 years. So it's taken me 7 years to figure that out, but at least I can say I'm not a carbon copy of anybody else. I think that being a running punchline, a running joke, kind of helped me learn to be my own entity instead of, trying to be Trish Stratus or
Right.
trying to be Lita or, trying to be the next, this person because they've already been done. They were doing that. So, I mean, they've already had that. So why do you want to be somebody else? So
Right.
I'm finally learning how to be.
um, you've done a lot with your time in OVW. It's really great work. What would you say has been your standout moment?
My standout moment would probably be just this maniacal, vindictive, bitchy bully character that I have been lucky enough to evolve into and portray. And I took a lot of inspiration from the things that I see today. Like, I'm pretty much, if you ever seen Pretty Little Liars, I'm pretty much the
Obsessed.
Alice in Fiorenta.
Oh my God.
That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty
Yes.
much who
I
Taylor
totally see
Hendricks
it.
is.
I totally see it.
She's this character who knows stuff about everybody and uses it to her advantage, but makes you think that you guys are friends. I've been a part of the A-list. We bully people like Trina, and we manipulate people with Lady Tappa to do our bidding. I was in a storyline with Heidi Lovelace where I used her love for me to try to back the title from Trina Thompson.
Hmm.
I used Dylan as essentially my B. Just pretty much my dog on my leash. And I think all of those are really my shining moments because that wasn't anything that any of the other girls were doing in OVW
Right.
or on television in general. I mean, we were already doing, a storyline, Heidi and I, for a good 6 or 7 months, and then we started seeing one that was similar appear in WWE between AJ Lee and Caitlyn when Caitlyn was
Right.
the
Yep.
champ when she lost herself. So it was really
Absolutely.
interesting to see people's different takes on what I was doing, and now I'm a part of the Perfect Tens, and it has its own vibe. It's very similar. If you've ever seen that Disney movie Wish Upon a Star with Katherine Heigl and Danielle
Yes.
Harris, that's what I'm doing. See,
You have
I've
the
done my
best
research.
references.
Believe me, my character is very well thought out, and I love her so much because she's everything that I hate about society. Every possible thing. She's clueless. She's the Alicia Silverstone of clueless in a bad way. She's just this. She's just a girl I can't stand. She's everything that women hate,
Mm.
and they know is the exact girl that is behind closed doors. She's the girl that will act nice to your face and talk crap about you as soon as you turn around and walk away. She's the girl that will steal from you
Hmm.
and take a nerdy guy's sports car and just do all this crap. And she's amazing, and that's probably my pet project. She's my pride and joy. So I guess being the character that I am right now is probably my most shining moment.
Oh my God, I love how you described your character. Like, I'm like, when you were saying like Alison DeLaurentis, I'm like, oh, she is. Like, oh my God, you're perfect. So anyway, uh, you mentioned the Heidi Lovelace story. Um, you said this was Heidi's brainchild. How did she approach you about that idea?
Um, well, the problem at OVW is we always go through our ups and downs with females. We go from having a lot down to one. I mean, at one point I was the only girl left on the roster, and then we slowly got girls in, and at one point we had 10 girls. And, we haven't really had a chance to prove what we can do, so we don't really get TV time. We get dark matches, which are 5 minutes, and that's basically 3 minutes and 45 seconds to tell a story.
Right.
including entrance and exit. And we really wanted to find some way to get girls onto the main screen. And I know certain people, and every performer has their own strengths and weaknesses. And for me, I feel really comfortable and I feel really strong on the mic. That's something I've always enjoyed. I've always wanted to be an actress and a wrestler. And I've worked in the political circuit where I had to talk to the news people and the press and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
talking in front of large crowds of people was always something I enjoyed and I always felt good at and confident. And I wrote speeches for politicians for me. So I didn't get much clearer than that. And so Heidi and I tried to come up with something that would be entertaining, different, something that people could recognize, but something that wasn't already completely done that exact same way, and something that would play to hers and my strengths. So that way, even if we couldn't wrestle on TV, we could still be on TV. We could still have the pre-tapes. We could still have, these insanely hilarious, stupid matches. And this is what she came up with. Everybody was always telling her, what she looked like and, how much they hated me. So she just took that and
Mm-hmm.
ran with it. And then, Al took it and ran with it further in his own way. And that's what happened. And I mean, it kind of exploded. I mean, you guys were talking about it. Ring Bells was talking about it. The Greg DeMarco show was talking about it. 411 Mania. So many people were talking about it. And me and Heidi became really, really proud of that because it felt
Mm-hmm.
like we were the center of the division, and it was so cool, to be honest. In such layman's terms, it was so cool. And it was different, especially because we're in the Bible Belt. So it was like nice and
Right.
touchy. And, we're sponsored by Papa John's, which is a family company, and we're on Ion Christian Network. Check out this kiss. Mwah. Like,
Right.
it was really interesting to see. And I think us being like a more family oriented show actually made our storyline better because we had to be more clever with how we did everything. The same thing with WWE, they have to be more clever with how they do things because they can't, just up and show naked girls, and
Right.
kissing and all of this crap. So it makes it more interesting and I think it makes it more witty because you can't swear, you can't, be pelvic thrusting and doing all these different, scandalous things. So
Right.
it was very fun and very interesting to see how we could take this one little tiny idea that she had and stretch it into almost a full year worth of storyline because not many things last that long anymore because usually you have a pay-per-view every month, so you have to quickly build a piece that never has enough time to explode because you're giving it 3 weeks because, the
Right.
stupid pay-per-views in one month, so it was very interesting to see that go over a whole year's worth of time, between me and Dylan and Heidi Lovelace and Ryan Howe, and then me adding Nikki St. John into the A-list, and me adding Envy into the A-list and having this posse, and then, having Trina get involved and Lucy Tappa getting involved. It was very interesting and contagious.
Like the story went on for a while, but the ending seemed kind of abrupt. Was that how it was supposed to end, or was there more planned for the storyline?
Heidi and I had a lot more planned for that storyline, actually, and we had no idea why it ended so fast. That's something we'll probably never know,
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of upset about it, but at the same time, everything happens for a reason, and I ended up, starting this new A-list thing with Envy and Nikki St. John, so that was interesting, and then we came up with the whole idea for Miss OVW, so then that started up, and then Heidi Lovelace ended up leaving OVW, so I guess everything worked out in the end, but no, originally that's not how we had planned to to have it end.
Right. Okay. Um, the storyline, like you said, it was compared a lot to, AJ and Caitlyn's storyline with the secret admirer thing. And, some people have also said it's similar to the Mickey and Trish angle, but obviously your storyline went a step ahead by confronting, the same-sex relationship thing head on. Do you think the story was progressive for wrestling? Like, do you think wrestling will ever see a same-sex storyline as a genuine romance?
With that being so prevalent in today's society, especially with younger people, I would assume maybe more so in TNA because they have, they're on Spike TV that's like considered like a man network and
Right,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So I think they have more leeway with, what the girls can wear and what people can do on that show and, swearing and stuff, whereas WWE has to be more careful. So I would love to see that because it's different. I
Oh, yeah,
mean,
definitely.
people have always flirted with the idea, but they've never outright done it. So I think that would be very interesting to see.
I agree. I definitely agree. Um, you know,
But that's what I loved about me and Heidi's was because you could clearly see that she was in love with me,
yeah, and you were like,
but not in an obsessed manner, in a manner where, not obsessed like Mickey James was with Trish and their angle. And it wasn't manipulative in the way that AJ and Caitlyn did it. Ours was more, Heidi realizes we haven't gotten along in the past, but slowly but surely she's fallen in love with me. Once I find out, I convince her that I love her too, but then I start having her do all the work for me so I don't have to get my hands dirty until finally she finds out and the whole thing blows up, blah blah. So it was definitely, I feel like it was more intricate, more complicated, and more thought out and planned, and I
definitely.
think done so that the 7-year-old could follow it. So I really liked how it was done.
I agree. It was a very, very well done storyline. Um, another thing you took part in is the Miss OVW angle. It had its fair share of silly moments, with the tug of war, the hula hoop contests. What was it like taking part in those? Is it fun, or was it a waste of time? Would you rather be wrestling?
Um, as long as it's on TV, I don't care. The Blossom Twins and I really sat down and tried to come up with something because at the time we had two girls and we wanted to get on TV, but we wanted to use people's characters because OVW isn't, your typical indie promotion. OVW is, a training facility. It's been the developmental of both major companies, and we're still cut by Ring of Honor. So it's like, no matter what your market or your focus is, we're getting looked at by somebody from each company, and at OVW, we're not focused on getting your moves in or getting your shit in, as people say. We call it the GYSI, get your shit in. Um, we're more focused on, storytelling through your characters in the matches, because honestly, it's just, a physical coloring book. You have to, it's a paint by number, color in the lines. And that's, I feel like that's the difference between a good performer and a bad one is someone who can tell a story versus someone who can't. Because if you can't tell a story, then you're not going to make money. If you're not making money, the company isn't making money. And if the company is not making money, then they go out of business, which means you lose a job.
Right.
So that's what we try to learn at Ohio Valley Wrestling. So that's what I feel like they bring to the table there, and that's what the Blossom Twins and I tried to put together to the Miss OVW contest and have it lead into matches. So you're not just seeing the same old matches over and over that you've been seeing for a year or 2 years or 3 years or however long you've been there. The Blossom Twins have been there on and off for 3 to 4.5 years. I've been there for 2.5. Heidi Lovelace was there for a year. Tiffany, before she left, was there for I don't even know how many. Sojo Bolt was there for almost 8. So it's like some girls that they've been seeing, and Jessie Bell I think has been there for like 3 years. So
Hmm.
it's one of those things where we wanted to try to do something different, but evolve characters so that way we could entice storylines and entice viewers to want to see us do something instead of just having cold matches all the time that weren't going
Right.
to go anywhere.
Well, one of the
And it was
matches,
really fun.
yeah, one of the matches you had recently actually was definitely not a cold match. It was the four-way ladder match, which, like obviously the first of its kind on TV. How nervous were you going into that matchup?
Knowing that TNA was there to see girls and that I had a dark match with a girl whose tryout it was with Santana Garrett,
Uh-huh.
um, I was definitely very nervous because I'm the only person at OVW that stayed behind after losing their contract. So to me, I didn't know if that was a good thing that showed towards my character of wanting to work hard, or if that was a big red X on my back or a target,
Right.
so to speak, or a black hole, whatever you want to call it. So I was definitely nervous. And then on top of that, being in the ring with 4 people plus a ladder, I can think of at least 5 reasons why that would go wrong. Of course, number two, number one, number three, number four, and that ladder. So I was definitely very nervous because I wanted to perform well, but I wasn't really. When I finally got to the curtain, I wasn't nervous at all because I just felt like, I wasn't focused on my moves. I wasn't focused on getting myself over. I was focused on doing the job that I had to do as, the heel in that match and as the character that I had to portray. So when I went out there, I kind of just did my own thing, and I thought it came out really well. We had amazing feedback, and it
Yep.
was the first time that a women's four-way ladder match, I think, was ever the main event on a man's show.
It was
And that was really awesome for Alcino to trust all of us to do that. And we put that match together. It was so exhilarating. It was so awesome. And It went really, really well, despite how everybody thought it was going to be a complete disaster.
I think everyone was definitely wowed by it. Like we're still talking about it at Diva Dirt. Like, um, like how much of like that kind of match though, like how much planning goes into that kind of match compared to a standard like one-on-one wrestling match?
You'd be surprised. Maybe more than you think and less than you think.
It looked like that match kind of hurt too. Or was that all selling, or is that ladder as brutal as it looks?
I'll let you ponder that. It's a ladder.
All right, question
What would
answered.
you think? It is a ladder
I mean,
that
well,
wobbled
I
as soon as you
will.
took one step out of it. So
I.
imagine four people on that ladder.
All
I
right.
flew off the back of Lady Tappa's back, so I'm like 12 feet in the air and landed on the mat. So you tell me.
So it did hurt. uh, Anyway, I know you obviously don't want to speak ill of TNA, but your departure from the company took us all by surprise. Like I even said, they did that video with you and Christy. It looked like they were building you up. And you have said that TNA kind of beat you to the punch before you could tell them you didn't want to resign. Are you able to say exactly why you didn't want to resign?
um, I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about the company. I'm not the
Right.
type of person to shoot myself in the foot.
Absolutely
And
not. Yeah.
I've always been really careful on interviews because I listen to people bury themselves all the time. And from a professional standpoint, that's just something you should never do. I mean,
Hmm.
do you really think that your boss doesn't have ears and eyes and won't hear or see what you say and read, type? But I really didn't like how a comment I had made blew up on the internet because it's not something I actually said.
Hmm.
And it was about people thinking that I said that Dixie Carter called me fat or too heavy to be on TV or whatever. And it's not something I actually came out and said. It was just like I was asked a question about Dixie Carter. I didn't want to answer it, and then I said, "Well, hey, I just didn't really like saying that. I didn't like hearing that I was heavy on TV." So I don't really like to go into too much personal detail about the feelings that I had with TV because I definitely would not want another blow up
Hmm.
because it just doesn't look professional. And I didn't appreciate people accosting Dixie Carter because I can't imagine running any sort of company, let alone a wrestling company, be
Right.
easy. I mean, someone's always going to hate you no matter what you do.
Right.
And people that sit on the couch think that they're experts in business and in wrestling or whatever.
Everyone's an
But
expert in
I'll just
wrestling. Duh.
yeah, basement dwellers and keyboard heroes. Uh, but I just was unhappy, and I just felt like I really deserved the chance, and I didn't know if I actually received one, and I thought I did well against Mickey James. I made I did everything I was told to do, especially since it was at the last minute, and Christy made that video with me, and I got released. And yeah, I was thinking about not resigning because I wanted to be on TV. I didn't want to feel like I was forgotten in developmental for another year, which was going to be my contract, which was a developmental contract. And
Right.
I didn't know if I would get used. Karen Terrell was signed after me, but she got immediately brought up to TV as a referee. So, which I can understand. She's former WWE. She's been in Playboy. She's been in movies as
Right.
woman and stuff like that. So I could understand. I was just nobody from New England. From Massachusetts. So I understood it, but at the same time, it was very hard, and I was very disgruntled and very frustrated. And it was just a humbling experience that I needed. I needed to be on my own for a little bit, and since I have a better outlook on it, and I'm a lot happier.
Hmm.
And it's given me the time to try to get healthy, although I really don't feel like I have. And it's given me a chance to start working on something that maybe TNA or WWE and Ring of Honor can use, which is the perfect tense, which is something that I know fans are excited about. So everything
Awesome.
has a happy ending. Like I said, the glass is half full.
Exactly. Everything works out. Everything happens for a reason. Um, you
Yes,
know,
and there was no dissing of Dixie Carter on this show.
none.
Make that perfectly
None.
clear for all the listeners.
Taylor said great things about Dixie, so if you guys are gonna try and twist this interview to make it sound like she was bad mouthing her, didn't happen. So,
Oh
anyway,
man, oh I love the internet. I love and hate
Isn't it crazy? Like it's everything gets like twisted so much. Like we posted stories before, and then like we'll see other people basically rewording what we had posted on our site, and we're like, that's not what the story was, but okay. Um, ugh. Anyway, so a lot of people were surprised when you decided to stick with OVW. Like after they had cut ties with TNA. Would you say, OVW is kind of like your home in the wrestling world?
I would say yes, it is my home. I left there. I left New England as a child, and I didn't really become an adult until I was at OVW. Danny Davis, Rick Rogers, they've contributed so much to my career and the performer I am today. And like I said earlier, there's lessons that I learned out of Hot Wrestling that I wouldn't have learned anywhere on the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, people just want a GYSI. They don't want to figure out how to make money. And I'm not wrestling for the smart marks. I don't care if you want to see me kick somebody in the head as hard as I can. That's not performing. That's not wrestling. And
Mm-hmm.
OVW always makes like such a great point of how do you think that the old timers in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s wrestled 5 and 7 days a week? It's because they knew what they were doing. It wasn't about, beating each other up as hard as you can, this strong style or whatever people call it. It's just not what I believe in as a performer in this business, and it's not what the type of genre I identify with. So being at OVW was a great choice for me because that's not what they condone either.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still able to learn on a weekly basis. I was at TV tapings every single week. I had training multiple days every single day of the week. I had house shows pretty much almost every single weekend. I mean, when I first got to OVW, we had a show six days a week and practice on those days too. So being at OVW, it wasn't, it was like those people that say, oh, I've been wrestling 10 years. 10 years, how many matches? You know what I mean? Like, are
Right.
they the once a month wrestler? Are they wrestling 10, 12, and 15 times a month? At OVW, you really get that ring awareness and that ring experience, and you get to train with someone who actually knows and has a right to call himself a trainer. So, and if I didn't stay there, I wouldn't be as confident as I am about the character that I have now, and I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't feel as confident about going out and wrestling people that I've never met before, or performing in front of crowds that I've never seen before, who I don't know what they like, or
Right.
I wouldn't have been in that ladder match, I wouldn't have been in the OVW contest, I wouldn't have been in the last couple, Saturday night special videos, so it's exposure. I get pictures every single week, I get television every single week, training. It's just experience that can't be beat.
Exactly. No, yeah, it's definitely a great place to be, and they're putting out really entertaining stuff. It's some of the best stuff that we're seeing right now in wrestling, I personally think. Um, Speaking of OVW, Lady Tapa and the Blossoms have recently made the jump to TNA television with Hannah facing Gail on this week's upcoming Impact. Do you see them topping the Knockouts division one day?
If I was running it, absolutely. I mean, the Blossom twins and Tapa are going to make their own choices no matter what, but all three of them are very talented. And the Blossoms have a lot more experience, about 6 years more experience than Tapa, but
Mm-hmm.
Tapa's character is so different and wonderful that I feel like she'll get that experience really quick because like you've already seen, they've already been using her and using her to her strengths and not exploiting her weaknesses. So as a performer, she's going to get even more amazing than what she already is, and it's going to be really fast. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I think the crowd is going to really enjoy that transformation. And Gail's really awesome at what she does with that maniacal, vindictive character. So that's going to be a really interesting storyline, especially because they need fresh pieces and new blood because they've been seeing a lot of those girls for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12 years. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Exactly.
they
Exactly.
definitely could. I mean, the Blossom twins are beautiful. They can wrestle. They're cute to boot, and there's not many twins in wrestling that can wrestle. You know what I mean? WWE has the Blossom twins, TNA. I mean, WWE has the Taylor twins, TNA
Mhm.
has the Blossom twins.
Right.
And, they don't look 100% alike. They're completely different personalities. They're great performers. And Tapa, you've already seen, is an amazing performer. So
She's
there's no
great.
doubt in my mind that they could, if they wanted to, be the faces.
Excellent. Um, you know, with TNA cutting ties with OVW, no longer housing the developmental system, do you think the landscape of OVW is going to drastically change because of this?
I mean, OVW is always changing, but the reason why it's Ohio Valley Wrestling, the TNA developmental territory, is because Ohio Valley Wrestling is its own entity. That's
Hmm.
why OVW always comes first. And
Right.
that's why it survived after the WWE pulled out, and it's going to survive after TNA pulls out. It's its own entity. It's its own business, and it has its own way of training and thinking and doing and producing stars. It's literally the Harvard of pro wrestling. So the format will change a little bit. Faces will come and go, but that's wrestling in general, isn't it? So
Exactly.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't look on it as a negative thing for OVW.
What about TNA moving back to Orlando? Do you think that's the right move for them?
I think it's going to save them a lot of money in the long run because, I mean, they originally let go mostly people that were developmental, and we're the lowest paid people on the roster.
Hmm.
So I think they did need to save more money and cut more corners. So I think going back to Orlando is a very good decision because it costs tons and tons and tons of money to be on the road. And when you don't have that kind of money, it adds up quick. And so I think that going back to Orlando will definitely help TNA keep going.
Hmm.
And the Impact Zone was always a great home for TNA. I mean, the Impact Zone in Orlando was just fantastic. It's probably one of the best feelings I have literally ever had was that Impact Zone. Like, I didn't hear one single boo the whole time I was in the Impact Zone. Like, and being embraced like that was so amazing. So I would want that sort of experience for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I think it's great that they're moving back there too. They are gonna save a lot, and hopefully be able to create some new future stars. Um, you've been expanding your horizons though on the indie scene lately, which is great. What's your ultimate goal though? WWE and TNA, is that out of the question?
Oh no, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if about either company. I mean, at this point, because both companies are looking for new fresh faces.
Hmm.
People from NXT are getting ready to come up. Some people quit, some people get let go, other people get moved up, and guess what? That means new spots have to be filled.
Hmm.
The Knockouts are restructuring their whole Knockouts division. WWE is restructuring their NXT. That is an amazing advantage for women right now. This
Hmm.
is literally going to be the end of the year, and the beginning of next year is going to be just the season for female wrestling. It really is. So the people that say women's wrestling don't drop, guess what's going on right now, guys?
Yeah. Prove you
So
wrong.
it's really exciting. And my overall goal is to have the perfect 10 signed because it's such a great character. We're going to have our own YouTube show, and I'm already having
Awesome.
my own blog. And we're going to have our own website, and it's just going to be so much fun. We're going to be at Shine. We're going to be at Women's Superstars Uncensored, possibly Pro Wrestling Syndicate for Glow. Wow. There's so many possibilities that are going on right now, but we're definitely hitting Shine. We're definitely hitting WSU, and we're hitting it hard, and it's going to be awesome. So that would be my ultimate goal. And right now, I am getting ready to have an agent to possibly get an audition for the new Superman movie, which is actually filming in Detroit. So I'm really excited about that. I have a
Um,
lot of stuff going on in the works right now. So I'm definitely not hurting by any means. Like I said earlier, I've been trying to use the time away as a motivating thing. I haven't stopped wrestling. I'm still training. I'm still going to the gym. I'm still, taking independent bookings, getting even more exposure because I think that entices, a company to want to use you if you have a bigger following. You bring more to the table. So Cherry Bomb and I, that's literally like 16 years worth of experience between the few of us, which is amazing. So
speaking of
nowhere to go but up, up, up.
speaking of Cherry Bomb, like you guys are definitely building that team up. What's the inspiration drawn from?
The inspiration is like I said, it's that character that everybody knows and
Hmm.
loves to hate because
Hmm.
we all know who she is.
Right.
At one point in your life, you have met someone who just, if you're a guy, she royally robbed you of your set.
Hmm.
She demasculated you, she used you, made you think that you were worth something, and you weren't. You love to hate her.
Hmm.
You're never going to let her know how much you loved her, but you know what I mean? And she's that character that women love to hate because their men want to be with her.
Oh
And the
yeah.
men hate her because they like you get this feeling from both sexes, and it's just really empowering because you just there's so many examples throughout Hollywood of the characters that her and I are going to be doing. There's so many examples of it, and I don't think it'll ever be outdone. It's not too cliche and too girly the way I have it planned. It's not. It's just amazing. You literally love to hate us.
Oh my
That's
God.
just the bottom line. You're gonna want to pay money to see us get our asses kicked, and you're gonna keep paying money until you get what you want. And whether you want to admit it or not, you came because you wanted to see us. Whether you love to see us get beat up or you love to see us, period. You hate to see us leave, but you love to watch us go. You know what I mean?
I
So
love it.
it's vintage. It's modern vintage. It's
Mhm.
sexy. It's classy and it's sassy. And it's literally going to be ginger warfare up in this independent division. It really is. It's going to
Mhm.
be ginger warfare all over the place. We're going to be beating the crap out of fake redheads. We are going to be beating the crap out of the all-American sweethearts of Santana Garrett and Amber O'Neal. We got it. We got it going on. Let me tell you, it's going to be awesome, and you can read all about it. And you can watch our YouTube show coming out soon. We're gonna have our own website being launched and everything. It's gonna be super awesome, and there's gonna be nobody that looks like us. There's no one that sounds like us or wrestles like us. It's gonna be something completely different. It's always nice to have women who aren't just females walking around half naked pretending they know how
Right.
to wrestle. It's going to be women who can wrestle, who can act, who can talk and portray a character. Because most of the time when you go to indie shows, it's not you don't see characters, you just see these generic default players, and
Exactly.
that's what Cherry Bomb is bringing to the table. And we are the perfect sense, and we're coming
I
very soon.
love it. Oh my God, I'm so excited about the YouTube show, especially. Like this is gonna be gold. I cannot wait. Like you've got that going on, like you mentioned the Superman movie, which I'm obsessed with Superman, so if you were in that movie, that would be insane. What other goals do you have for the upcoming year?
Well, I'm moving to Michigan, and I'm hoping I'll be having my own house. I'm really excited about that. I have my own house now. And
Yay.
I'm really looking forward to trying to make my way into Hollywood because ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an actress. And my role model is Betty Davis. I always strive to be the
Love
Betty
it.
Davis of pro wrestling. And she was always really good at taking those characters that Hollywood did not want women to play because they weren't glamorous and sexy.
Mhm.
And she made those Academy Award winners. She made those roles Oscars, and she took these things that nobody wanted and made it gold. And that's
Mhm.
essentially what I want to do. People may not look at me as much, but I want to take what I've got and turn it into something that just explodes, which is what I'm trying to do with the Perfect Tens. And I want to extend that into Hollywood. I want to be a Hollywood starlet, and I want to be a professional wrestler. I want to publish my book and be a children's author. I want to be known for my blog. I want to, I just have so many plans that I have in the works that, if one fails, I still have other things to rely on. And I'm going back to school to finish my marketing degree, and I have
Oh,
so much stuff
no
going
way.
on. And I just hope that, I can be the first generation Betty Davis
Oh my.
of wrestling and of Hollywood.
I'm like I'm like trying to like think in my head like of all the things you're doing and like it's gonna explode. Oh my God. I cannot even believe you have all this going. That's crazy. Like, well, congratulations like on all of that though. That's huge. Like to keep yourself going with all of that. And you definitely have the brain for marketing that if you're always I'm in marketing myself and like that you're always thinking of ideas and getting all this stuff and like you've got that crazy fun personality. Like marketing's for you. You'd be great in that too. Like I feel like you have the motivation, which I think is something you need to better yourself, and that's great that you constantly have that.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to be a role model. That's all I really want. So,
Um, are there any other plugs you want to throw out there, Taylor?
um, I don't know. I think I've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah.
I hate to feel like, hey, let's talk all about me. It's weird.
No, please, like everyone's listening to hear about you, please. Um, well, amazing stuff you have going on, Taylor. And I think the wrestling world is not prepared for what's coming their way. You have got insane, great ideas. Like people are gonna love them. I'm really excited about this Perfect 10 stuff. Like you and Cherry Bomb together, I could not think of a better combination. Like,
Isn't it crazy? Like, Ancestry.com, I should be in their commercial because that's exactly what did it. Like, everybody would always talk about how her and I looked alike and her and I looked alike, and I would always joke around and be like, hey, girl, what if we were actually related? And I was doing my family tree, and my great grandmother is Margaret Patterson, and she ended up being from Canada.
um,
And I traced it back even farther, and my ancestors ended up in Scotland and Ireland, but for a long time they were in Canada and England, and it was really funny because I ended up finding a little branch off, and her and I are like distant cousins,
oh
and
my God.
it was really kind of cool to see that. I mean, I've always known like that my nationalities, but actually doing my through ancestry.com was actually really cool because I got to find people's names and where they were born and when, and find out like what my real last name is supposed to be because my grandpa was actually adopted. See, I didn't know all this
Mhm.
stuff, so I should definitely be in their commercial because it helped me find someone I'm related to in wrestling, which is like unheard of, and it gave us something unique to go off of because yeah, we look alike, but we're not twins, so we're not encroaching on the Bella twins thing. We're
Right,
not
exactly.
encroaching on the Blossom twins thing. It's something completely different, and so yeah, I should totally be in the commercial.
This has been your commercial for Ancestry.com, starring Taylor Hendrix. Oh my God, that's crazy. But wow, but thank you so much for answering all of our questions and giving us so many amazing stories. It was so good to talk to you, Taylor. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you guys for being so patient with my schedule and having me on the show. I love talking to you guys, and I love talking with Ring Bells. You guys have always been super awesome with me, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, not at all. All right, well, we're gonna head out, but thank you again, Taylor, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Teal, you guys have a great night.